Welcome to Malifaux University. 411, Line of Sight. As introduced in video 109, line of sight is one of the most important game mechanics in Malifaux. If you want to affect strategy markers, other models, and just about anything else on the table, you need line of sight. This video explains the remaining rules related to drawing line of sight, though you should watch video 410 regarding rules related to line of sight when models are near blocking terrain which creates a shadow. In Malifaux, line of sight is drawn from base to base, from a top-down point of view. This is important to understand because many models have alternate sculpts, and others extend beyond the circumferences of their bases. The various pointy bits don't matter. Line of sight is drawn from base to base. If you haven't gotten one already, I recommend again getting a line of sight laser pointer like this one from Army Painter to make drawing line of sight quick and easy. Keep in mind that models always have line of sight to themselves, even if they are buried. Line of sight cannot be drawn between buried models or between buried and unburied models unless the action or ability specifically says so. In the same way, a model always has line of sight to any other model, terrain, or marker it is physically touching or overlapping. If two models are inside or on the same building, but on different levels, there is no line of sight through the physical floors or ceiling of that building. Most buildings have floor fragments for ease of use, so make sure line of sight is part of the conversation you have with your opponent before the game begins. To determine if two models can see each other, you'll draw a series of lines between their bases. These are called sight lines and go from the edge of each model's base. If the action or ability you're using specifically says it ignores line of sight, then there is no need to draw any sight lines. If you do need them, and any one of these lines is not blocked in any way, you have line of sight. When the disease containment unit draws line of sight to the terror tot, one of the sight lines is not blocked by the crate, so she may use her flamethrower on the little Nephilim. When she uses her rapid response bonus action on the Neverborn scheme marker, she doesn't need line of sight, so she could target the marker even if another crate were in the way. Line of sight can be blocked by other models, terrain, or both. A model drawing line of sight to another can ignore a model between them when that middle model has a size smaller than either of the other two models. A model in the middle, the same size or bigger than the tallest model involved, will block line of sight. Let's look at a few examples. This guard patrol is drawing line of sight to this Lilu, and they're both size 2. This size 1 Guildhound gets between them, but since both models are taller than the Hound, the Guard Patrol ignores the Hound and has line of sight to the Lilu. The Guard Patrol does not have line of sight to the Terror Tot behind the Lilu because the size 2 Lilu blocks it. After the Lilu dies, the Guard Patrol wants to draw line of sight to the size 1 Terror Tot. Even though the size 1 Guildhound is still between them, the Guard Patrol can still ignore it since he is taller than the Hound, even when targeting a size 1 model like the Terror Tot. If there were a size 0 object like a Malifaux rat or scheme marker behind or even under the Terror Tot, the Guard Patrol would still have line of sight to it since he is taller than the Terror Tot and gets to ignore it. Terrain with the blocking trait can also block line of sight, following the same rule as models. If either model has a size greater than the height of the terrain is ignored when drawing line of sight, assuming the shadow of terrain is not involved. Models on top of terrain between other models drawing line of sight to one another add their size to the terrain's height. If the size 2 Guard Patrol wants to draw line of sight to the size 2 Lilu, but there's a height 1 blocking crate between them, they still have line of sight, since the crate is shorter than the models. If the size 1 Guildhound climbs on top of the height 1 crate, it is now effectively a size 2 model and blocks line of sight between the two size 2 models. Dense terrain can also block line of sight, but that is covered in video 407. Be sure to remember that all actions must have line of sight to their targets unless the action specifically says otherwise. This also applies to aura effects, pulses, and shockwaves. Other game effects, such as triggers, however, do not require line of sight unless the game effect specifically requires it. That's the overview of line of sight. Pick up a printable set of all the markers and tokens you need to play Malifaux in the Wargame Vault. If you haven't already, join our Patreon for early, ad-free access to all new content, and be sure to visit the Malifaux University gift shop for the latest in Malifaux-themed shirts, hoodies, drinkware, and more. Links are in the notes below. And remember, play friendly games, keep it simple, and have fun.